Coach, for the sake of time, we want to just go straight to questions.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
Down front, Brett.
Your early impressions of the new indoor complex and how much that's going to help y'all?
Efficiency is tremendous. I mean, you can actually get a full practice in. I mean, even when you used to go inside and you have a normal field, you can't get the full effect because you don't have enough space for individual. When you're doing multiple drills, 2 or 3 spot drills, and have the room to actually do them. You could do them before, but they were modified because of room and space in it. It gives you a very, very effective workspace, and it worked out just like we designed it and thought of it, and I wanted it that long. I mean, to be able to do that inside and was tremendous.
You had mentioned at SEC Media Days you might announce in terms of your defensive staff or staff overall in terms of going into camp.
Yeah, Joe Schaefer will be the guy that replaces Coach Price on our defensive staff. Joe is a guy who was actually he was the defensive coordinator at Youngstown State to come here as an off-the-field guy and getting to this level and do things, and has done a great job for us in the off-the-field stuff and great knowledge of the defense and what goes on, and done a really good job with our guys.
Down front right.
I say that Elijah will take the whole front, and Elijah also is assistant head coach and co-defensive coordinator. And Schaefer will work nickels, dimes, and he can work the ends on certain things, but work a lot of nickel, dime stuff. It's going to allow us in some different things in that regard.
Cool.
Jimbo, last year it felt like that there was a level of expectation risen with the wide receivers, with Evan and Noah making strides. Do you feel the same way going into this camp with having Raymond and Micah as early enrollees?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I've been so far, I'll be honest with you, I've been pleased for the most part of our receivers in the first 4 or 5 days of camp. The experience is showing, and their knowledge. The older guys, Nice, I think, is having a really good camp. That Moose is doing a really good job. And the young guys, you can see a big difference in Noah, Evan, and those guys from a educational standpoint of how to run routes, how to do things, reading coverages, and because the older guys are doing it, and those guys have been very productive. They've done a really good job of developing and Tees and Cottrell and those guys coming in. Jade, I've been extremely happy with his progress and what he's done. He's brought a lot of life and juice and ability to that position.
And then just quick follow-up, how do you feel about the tight end position with Jake and Donovan improving?
Good. I mean, Jake is really developing well. Donovan he got banged up at the end of spring, is coming off that injury very well. Theo is really developed. Max, of course, Max is steady Ed, does everything right, does all those things. Guards has been very productive, and Jaden Platt's going to be a really good player. Really like Jaden's ability to do things as they keep growing, but I think has a chance to be a really good player.
Second row on the right, Christy.
What are the qualities that Bobby Petrino has that made you want him on your staff, and how do you think he will help your team this year?
We've been very productive as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator, and also philosophically, a lot of the things he believes and how he looks at the game and the way we did. Like I said, we've known each other a long time. And studied each other's film a long time. Schemes, schematics, run game, and he has balance. It's not just all throw, it's not just all pass. It's a balanced attack that attacks and can use different weapons and has done it in times. He's had great tight ends, he's used he had great backs, very similar in philosophical nature, and a very proven guy who has a great mind for the game and does a great job teaching and getting great production. I've always had a lot of respect for him, and we've been known each other for a long time.
Down front, Travis.
2 questions. First, when did you know Jalen Preston wasn't going to be with the squad this year?
In the summer.
And then I know there's a lot of conversation around the country about college athletes and sports gambling. What is some of the approaches y'all are taking to educate?
We just brought in a speaker last night to educate them on how you can get sucked into it, how people can do, and the social media. How they're marked guys. People know who they are. Exposing guys, putting guys in compromising positions to get control of them, to do things. And also, you got to remember, a lot of their guys, you got to remember, you can't, we in gambling, with all the sports fantasy leagues and all that stuff, these kids can do those things in high school. They've done them their whole life, and they have an app on their phone. The accessibility to gambling is a very scary thing because it becomes addicting, it becomes competitive, and they don't think it's a big deal because I'm gambling on this, I'm gambling on that, and the things that goes on. And we suck them in as a society, and then how they can use it, and then they can get exposed because of, I know they use the social media world because everyone knows where they're at, what they're doing, because they're telling everybody. Every quote, what they say, they get in a compromise. That's what gamblers look for, to get you in a compromising position, to get leverage on you, to get you to do something. We had a great speaker last night on that whole fact that we spent a lot of time on gambling and just other issues of getting caught doing the wrong things, wrong places, how you act, and how people can take advantage of you. Because the kids, as smart and as mature as we think they are, they're extremely naive to people taking advantage of their celebrity status and who they are and know who they are and what they are because they're on social media. So every mark of every day, they're not hard to find and set those things up on kids. And kids are very vulnerable right now. We had a huge speaker on that last night and brought up the exact same topic. Went for an hour and a half last night. It was a great session. Kids were asking questions, doing everything. So we're trying to be preventive and try to stop them from getting in compromising positions. You know what I mean? If that ever happens, you got to come tell somebody.
Second row left, Olin, and then to the right, David.
I got a couple things, Jimbo. First of all, what are some of the things that you can do differently in practice this year, or where you can do you put some of extra time at some places that maybe in the past?
Going to practice of what the drills you do, the things you do, how you incorporate team drills, how you incorporate individual drills, and you're able to bounce a lot more. I mean, whether you're on the offensive field, defensive field at different sections, special, which I'm always a specialty, which I've always been, and all the meetings, which I'm always have been, offense, defense, special teams. So, I mean, just your emphasis and your time constraint, knowing that if you leave over here, that's going to be taken care of, and you can work back in different areas and spend time on areas of need. That's just what you see on film. It's why we watch film together every day, and there's some emphasis there. And when the head coach is at a drill and there's a part that needs emphasized, that says that's very important. So sometimes that even gives kids greater urgency to execute and do the things you got to do. So you're able to communicate with a lot greater group of guys.
And I wanted to just ask you, looking back at last year, did you play more freshmen than you wanted to, or were you playing so many freshmen because you needed to?
It was a compromise. Some they were the best athletes. Some it was you had injuries and you had to. And then, like you say, it's like Connor. You bring Connor in a situation when he's ready for a situation. You want to bring all freshmen when they're ready, because what you never want to destroy in an athlete's confidence. You never want to put him in a compromising position. You say, well, he's got ability, but is he ready to play? And just because he's athletic doesn't mean he can play well. Just because he plays well doesn't mean he can play winning football. There's a difference. And you want to put those guys at those points when you feel they're ready and watch them by the consistency in which they play. Just because a guy does something, goes back to that philosophy. You don't practice it till you do it right. You practice till you can't do it wrong. And there's guys who can make plays. There's guys on the street that can make plays. But how many times in a row can they do it? Can they do it when they're tired? Can they do it in the fourth quarter? Can they do it in the biggest moments? Can they do it and understand that the momentum changes in the game and where you have to really execute on every – you want to execute on every job, but understanding how to change the momentum of games. And so when you put a freshman in, has nothing to do with his ability. But no, if you're forced to, you're forced to. If you want to put them where you think they can handle the situation, because when they fail, it ain't failing like it used to be 30 years ago. They get destroyed. They get destroyed by y'all. They get destroyed by social media. They get destroyed by the fans. And whether you think that affects them or not, it does. It drastically does. And what they read about themselves, because that's their world today. So you can destroy a young player much faster than you can make him, and you got to be very careful. So you're talking about playing freshmen. You want to play them when you think they're ready to handle what you're asking them to handle. That still allows you to win the game.
Second row right, David, and then to the left, Carter.
Jimbo, anything stand out about the linebackers in particular so far?
Yeah, I'm very pleased. The downhill progression, the way they're fitting the runs, the aggression, the consistency in which they're playing with, the angles in which they're taking, and how they're fitting things. I've really been impressed. They've done a really good job.
On Friday, there were a lot of moving parts in college football conference realignment. Can you just give us your thoughts on the direction it's going?
It's inevitable. I mean, what thoughts? You tell me your thoughts. Nobody likes it because it's too strung out. I mean, like you say, like I heard an argument today. How about the kids? How about the travel? How about the volleyball team, the baseball team, the soccer team, the gymnastics team, the travel? I mean, you're talking about 3,000 miles in that league, and others it's still significant. That's one of the things about the SEC I like. We're still within our footprint, which I think makes it a lot easier on the kids. But in hindsight, I'm not saying I like it either, but I understand the administrative point of it, that if you get left out of it, from a financial standpoint, you can become insignificant. I get both worlds of it, and that's you got to be careful what you create as the monster you create in college athletics. And like I say, I think, is it a perfect world? No, but it's inevitable. Change is inevitable. It's going to keep happening. So, hey, we got to lock in. I'm gonna coach football. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what you can do. And there's a lot of things that are bad about it, but I also see the other point. If you're an administrator and you're left out of one of those conferences, what do you do? Where does athletics and people don't know, well, what's athletics to a school? The growth of a school? Athletics is huge. The branding, the marketing, look at numbers when you have good years and things in your athletic departments, the number of applicants to your schools. I mean, it is a significant part of every university. And unfortunately, we're in a time now that everybody's fighting over the dollar.
Third row left, Carter, and then Christie.
Jimbo, what do you think will be the biggest difference between DJ Durkin's defense last year and this year as far as players being more comfortable?
Well, I think one, they'll know the calls better, they're the experience, and I think our health and leadership. I mean, keeping McKinley and keeping guys like McKinley and Isaiah and Shamar Turner and Shamar Stewart and LT and Diggs and keeping those guys healthy. I mean, you lost some of those guys. The linebackers healthy, the secondary is healthy. Keeping healthy guys that having experience that have played a lot and understanding how to play that way. And do things, and also the familiarity of how he coaches, how he teaches, and the things in which we want. I mean, and what we do. And I think it'll make a significant difference. That's what the plan is.
second row right, Christy.
I was wondering, is it last season was only the second time in your career where you've had a losing season? And I wonder, when you're coming off of a year like that, that's disappointing, do you approach things any differently going into the new year?
No, you evaluate them, what went wrong, and know why it went wrong, and why it went right. I mean, it's like repeating a successful year. You're trying to repeat a successful year. Now you're trying to fix. It goes back to the whys. The whys of why it didn't work, why it didn't happen, and can it happen? Is it scheme? Is it players? Is it coaching? Is it? I mean, and it's an effect of all those things and how you can coach a guy. Learning to coach a guy, doing things, how you can present it different, how you can help him better. Because no players make mistakes on purpose. No coaches coach it wrong on purpose. But you got to understand, like I said, getting to know guys, understand guys, and put guys in position to be successful and what they can and can't handle, and based off the situations of the game. So, I mean, you're always in that. Whether the amount of evaluation and time when you're successful, it's just as extensive when it's not successful. I mean, it really is. The amount of time does not change. The amount of speculation, the amount of questioning, the amount of, is there a better way to do it? Is somebody else doing it better? Are we doing it the right way? How we teach it? I mean, people act like that is a very intricate and long-standing thing that goes on for whole offseason, 6-7 months at a time, all the time.
As a quick follow-up, we talk about the whys. Can you boil down the why?
I can, yeah, and I'm not going to say them, but at the same time, we know why we think it is, and that's the key to anything. Even if you have success, I mean, like I tell kids sometimes when they have success and they make a good play, and you say, and they'll say, well, man, sometimes they can't tell you why it happened. It's also important to educate them then so they can repeat it, because sports is a game of repetition. It's not a game of ability. It's a game of ability based on how many times you can repeat something correctly, and that's getting guys to understand why they do it right and why they do it wrong,
All right,
and that's
Coach.
helping them in coaching.
Coach, thanks for your time. We got Coach Robinson.
Thank you.
Elijah Robinson ready.
We have Coach Elijah Robinson at the mic right now. Who would like to get us started with Coach? We'll go front row on the left side to Mark.
Coach, last year you guys had a lot of young players up front. What have you seen from guys that were in that freshman class last year in terms of improvement? What has changed in this last year?
The biggest thing that's changed is those guys as far as preparation. Obviously, they're a year into the program now. The way they trained over the spring, the way they trained over the summer, is getting bigger, stronger, faster. Just understanding, what it means to play as a unit. I think those guys have done a really good job.
We'll go back behind the lights on the right side to Ben.
Coach, just curious, over the last few years, obviously you guys have had a lot of success on the recruiting trail with that defensive line unit. Curious what your message is to high-profile guys who, don't have anything against maybe A&M, but just see the numbers of guys in that room and, how they're going to work their way onto the field, not to be too concerned about that.
The biggest thing is hopefully when they watch the film, they see that we like to roll guys. We like to play in units, and continue to keep guys fresh. So if they see that and they get a chance to hang around the guys, I think that trumps everything else as far as numbers.
We'll go third row on the left side to Tyler and then Cole.
Coach, who have you seen that maybe has surprised you the most, or have you been impressed by the most, making kind of the jump from last year to this year in their improvement?
Like I said, to point out one person would be hard. I think all those guys did a pretty good job. You look at the young guys, you look at Scarlett, look at Micaiah Overton, like at Gabe Dendy, all those guys are continuing to get better. And you're seeing an improvement for those guys, which should happen going into being here after a year,
And then how is kind of the defensive line and just that unit kind of maybe grown stronger or rallied together with the passing of Terry Price and just dealing with all that?
Yeah, obviously, Coach Price meant a lot to many of us, not just the D-line. But I think the biggest thing I see out of this unit is they don't care who gets the credit. And that's the biggest accomplishment you can have as a unit. If you don't care who gets the credit, you just want to work as a unit, I think that's when you know you got a special group.
We'll stay on that third row to Carter and then Cole.
We've seen Shamar Turner play a number of positions, and I just wondered if you feel like he's most suited to play in that kind of role where he plays a bunch of different positions, or do you feel like it'd be beneficial for him to settle into one position?
You go back and you look at guys like Kiki, the Marvin Leal, Justin Matabike. All those guys were guys that was versatile. Okay, they can line up outside, they can line up inside, and all it does is help these guys at the next level. Okay, you take the guessing game out. So when you get a guy special like that that can do more than one thing, it makes us better as a team.
We'll go front row on the right side to Cole and then Brent and Travis.
Coach, I know it's still a sore subject, but what was the biggest lesson that you ever learned underneath Coach Price?
Repeat
What was
that.
the biggest lesson that you ever learned underneath Coach Price?
Man, I learned so much from Coach Price. Just watching him, observing him, the type of father he was, the husband he was, and just the way anybody can call out and reach out on him. He was always going to be available. So the biggest thing I learned from him, man, is just enjoy life, enjoy the BlackBerry moments. We had a speaker come in, and he talked about enjoy the BlackBerry moments, you know, just unscripted life. That's what I learned from Coach Price. Enjoy the small times, the small moments.
And then you talk a little bit about versatility on the defensive line. With Walter shedding the weight, do you feel like he's going to be more versatile to work more inside-outside, or do you think he's still going to be permanently more of an inside guy?
Well, he's a guy that we used at inside and outside last year as well. His role can increase as long as he can handle learning those roles, you know. So he shedded some weight, but I think he kept his strength. So he'll be a guy that can be versatile for us as well.
Stay on the front row to Brent and then Travis.
Coach, your early impressions of the new indoor complex, I think it's one of the biggest in the nation, if not the biggest, and also kind of getting out of that 105-degree heat as well.
Yeah, first of all, we're grateful, you know, for those that made that available to us, you know, and I think our guys, the moment they had a chance to walk in there and realize, man, we have an opportunity to get so much work done in there, and those guys know they're appreciative for everything we got here. So that makes it efficient for us to go from inside to outside, just having the space, so it helps us definitely, you know, when we play inside.
When you've recruited so well on the defensive line, how do you keep all of those guys happy? Is it better on the defensive line because you are able to maybe sub more freely? But how do you keep all those guys happy when you have so many kind of star players, I guess you'd say?
I mentioned this earlier. When the unit, there's no distance of where a unit can go, as long as they understand that it doesn't matter who gets the credit. And those guys are close. They spend a lot of time together. They have a real relationship with each other. And those guys, they always talk about everybody shines together. That's what they say. So when you got a unit that's unselfish, they don't care who gets the credit, it doesn't matter how many in the room, as long as we had a success at the end of the day.
We'll stay on the front row to Travis.
Coach, what new challenges does Bobby Petrino's offense bring to someone who's scheming defensively?
Like I said, that whole offensive staff is an elite group of men. They do a really good job just coaching each unit up to the top tee. You know, so every day for us is, man, just attacking the ordinary things. And you have to do that and stay disciplined going against our offense.
We'll go third row on the left side to Tyler.
How much emphasis this offseason has been improving the stopping the run game, and I guess what gives you confidence that you guys will be better in that area this year?
You know, I think that's always, in order to rush the passer, you got to stop the run. You know, so we emphasize it every day. Those guys are working to it. They understand that that's the emphasis that we have to get better at this season. So like I said, we take full responsibility of making sure that gets done.
Anything else for Coach Robinson? We'll wrap it up with Sam Kahn on the left side.
Rob, you've been here for a few years. I'm curious, what are your impressions about the way Coach Fisher runs this program, and what have you taken away from some of the things that he's implemented in this program?
But Coach Fisher, the first thing I say about Coach Fisher is when he talks about family, it's real. You know, you see our family, you see our kids, our wives around. Our coaches are available to our players. I think that's the first and foremost, the biggest thing, that he's available to all of us as a staff. He's available to our players. When he preached family, That's the most important thing. And he talks about doing the ordinary things. And I think that transitions not just to football, but for life. And our guys, I truly feel comfortable that our guys will be able to live a life after football when the air goes out, the way he runs this program and prepares our guys.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Yep.
Next up, we'll have our defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin. Who would like to get us started with Coach? We'll start out front row on the left side, Mark, and then Olin.
Coach, you're in charge of the linebackers this year directly. So can you tell us a little bit about when you took over, what were some of the things that you wanted to emphasize to improve their performance over last year?
Yeah, just really, I mean, playing faster, playing more aggressive. And, you know, I think at the linebacker position, communication is always a top thing. I mean, the D-line, DBs are all, you know, the communication runs through linebackers. Everyone's waiting to hear from them. And so that requires us to know our job better. And I think when you do that, obviously you can communicate better and then play faster. And so that's our biggest thing we're working on. I think you guys have done a good job so far.
We'll stay on that left side to Olin and then Cole.
And Coach, what's it going to take to, or how do y'all go about boosting that pass rush?
You know, we got a good crew of guys up there in our front. We have some depth up front that I think that are very capable. Obviously, you know, we were extremely young last year in our front, but also talented. And I think so as you get, you know, a year into that, now those guys have a full winter, spring, another summer under their belt. You know, and you can see the differences just in their body and what their physical abilities are.
Do they have to learn? Is there something
Absolutely.
that they have to learn at this level to be able to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's like anything else. Like experience helps, and you get a better feel for how to attack a guy, the game within the game. You know, technique and fundamentals are things that as coaches we have to instill. You take guys with great ability and talent, right? And then our job as coaches is to then teach them technique and fundamentals and get them comfortable with it. And, you know, Coach Robinson was just in there. He's as good as there is in the country, and he's done a great job with those guys. And you can see those changes already.
We'll go front row on the right side to Cole and then Brent.
DJ, when you look at last year's defense, you ranked #1 in pass coverage, but you struggled against the run. Do you consider that just due to inexperience up front, or was it just something with miscommunication, injuries? What do you think kind of played a factor into that?
Yeah, usually in football, it's hard to probably just say like one thing was the reason. I think, you know, you mentioned several things, but the bottom line for us, and we've talked a lot about it, we don't shy away from it. We were not good versus the run. We need to improve that. That has to happen. We have to be more consistent, I think, is probably the word, you know, across the board, run or pass, of just, you know, playing at a high level consistently. And, you know, so a lot of the things would lead to that, but we know as a defense, you know, it is what it is. You're you know, what you put on the field is who you are, and so that's definitely a challenge for our guys.
And then when you have a chess piece like Bryce Anderson who could play in the nickel, he can play either safety spot, what does that do for the versatility of the secondary, especially when you're trying to replace talent like AJ and Jalen?
Yeah, I think versatility is probably the #1 attribute you look for in guys on the defensive side of the ball, because the offenses present so much more issues nowadays with tempo and you know, spreading it out. And so when you have guys that can you know, do several things and play more than one spot, it allows you to, you know, be multiple defensively, which I think you need to be. So, you know, you mentioned Bryce, and he certainly is a versatile guy, and he'll play several spots. And I think good for us, we have several guys that have that type of versatility. We look for that in recruiting for sure.
We'll stay on the front row to Brent and then
First of all, good seeing you at the youth league deals where we cross paths, but
Yeah,
how much more comfortable are you going into a second year, you know, and not just here, but going into a second year, the comfort level for you in terms of what to expect?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I mean, that's a normal transition. Like, you know, in the first year, everything's a first training camp, just knowing how things go, how the schedule runs, knowing your guys. You know, one of the biggest things I think you have to do as a coach is really know your personnel really well and build, you know, what you do and how you do it based on their strengths. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to see all of that right away. You kind of learn it as you go. So I feel much more comfortable about knowing our personnel now this year. And I think those guys probably have the same comfort level with me and how we do things and what our scheme is and everything else. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're much further along.
We'll go third row on the left side. We'll start on the inside to Tyler and work our way out.
DJ, kind of going off that, just what would you say the biggest difference maybe this time last year with your defense and how the defense is right now?
Yeah, I mean, last year a lot of those guys, I mean, you know, the numbers are there, but we set a record for freshmen playing in a season. And so we had a lot of freshmen. So sitting here this time last year, it was still, we didn't know. You think you know when you're recruiting someone, you think you know what you're getting, but you don't always know. You got to get out there in the field, the guy, and see how they go. And so there's probably a lot more question marks, I think, at this point last year of just, who are going to be the guys, who's in the mix, how much are guys playing. I think, there's more of those things probably answered, although I think we have great competition at our spots and, keep going through that.
We'll stay on the left side to Carter and then Alex.
DJ, what have been your impressions of the cornerback transfers, McCall, Grimes, and DeBerry?
Love their approach, their competitiveness. The cool thing is when you bring in guys with playing experience and veteran guys like that, they understand. There's a lot more that goes in it than just bringing a freshman. Obviously, they've been around it. They understand the game, what it takes to prepare yourself. There's so much that goes in this game that you have to take ownership in as a player in terms of your preparation to get yourself right, treating your body right, preparing, learning stuff outside of just what the required amount of time is. And those guys done a great job with it. And what I love about them is they're competitive. They bring it to the field, and they are competing like crazy for spots.
And then did you know Bobby Petrino before he took the job, and what have your impressions been about just what he's brought to the offense?
No, did not know Bobby at all, but obviously knew of him and followed his track record very closely, and he has been a tremendous addition to our staff, for our team. I love going against him every day in terms of he prepares you as a defense to be ready for a lot of things. I think he's a tremendous football coach. And, I just really think there's been noticeable, help for our staff and our players as we've gone through spring and now into training camp.
One more on that third row to Alex.
Hey, just wanted to go back to Bryce Anderson and just ask, looking back, what were some of your first impressions of him last fall, and just how have you seen him kind of progress in his game up to this point in his young career?
Yeah, what I love about Bryce is, man, he has a smile on his face every day. He comes to work. He loves to practice. He loves to work, prepare. And Bryce is extremely talented. So you take a guy that's that talented, that loves to prepare and work and practice, he can't help but get better. And so, we have high expectations for Bryce. I think he did some really good things last year as a freshman. And you think about it, he wasn't a guy that played a ton of defense in his high school career either. I mean, he was just really learning. And so, again, now you take his playing experience from last year and go through a whole winter, spring, and fall camp. I think that he'll just continue to keep getting better and better.
We'll go back behind the lights with a couple questions on the right side.
Hey, Coach, just working with the linebackers, and especially some of the depth you brought in this offseason, what have you seen from some of those new guys, Torian, Damian, and JD, and some of the others?
Yeah, I love the competition in the room right now. And I talked about it with them the other day. It's really good. It's a healthy competition. Like, those guys are great people first and foremost in that room, which is awesome. I mean, like, they really care about one another, and they're competing. And like, you can do both those things, right? You can care for the guy next to you, but also go out there on the field and be trying to beat each other out for reps and for a spot. And so that's only going to make us all better. There's really good competition. You mentioned some of those guys that we've brought in. They're all they check all the boxes for us, and so we're happy to have them.
We'll stay behind the lights to Justin.
Hey, Coach, obviously, for the most part, we shoot 4 periods and leave. But I'm interested, how do you create situations in practice? Jimbo always talks about the strain and putting guys through different situations. Interested with that from your perspective on the defense and how that kind of goes in practice between, battling the offense.
Creating situations, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's Coach does a great job of creating that competition in practice, how it's set up, and it's competitive reps out there. I mean, we have 2 fields practicing at once the entire day, so everyone, I mean, guys are getting reps. If you're on the roster, you're getting reps out there. There's no one standing around and just watching. When you watch our team walk off the field, every guy is drenched and spent and looks like he's been through a hard practice, and I think that's the best way to develop a team. I think how Coach designs that is awesome. There's really good, healthy competition between offense and defense. Obviously, things get chippy at times. I mean, that's who you're going against. But I really think our guys both on both sides of the ball have respect for one another and understand we need the other side. We both got to get better and be good. And we consistently every day are talking about how to practice really hard and protect the team, how to make decisions that doesn't put a guy on the other side at risk, with what you're doing. And that's an ongoing learning thing for a team, but I think our guys done a good job.
We'll go third row on the left to Carter.
EJ, when y'all took Juriante Davis out of the transfer portal, did y'all have any questions initially, just like how would he translate to the SEC football? And then he proved pretty immediately that he belongs.
I mean, no, because he has that. I've learned now in experience and years of coaching, guys that have that personality about them, there's like that competitiveness. They're going to find a way to rise. Whatever environment you put them in, they're going to find a way to somehow get to the top. And JD has that about him. And so as you get to know him and talk to people that have been around him, that that other places that have coached him and everything else, right? You do the research and the homework, and you figure out that's the type of guy you're talking about. And I think that's the the common denominator for guys is like if you have that competitive edge to you, you'll figure it out.
We'll go front row on the right side to Cole and then wrap things up with Brent. Oh, you didn't? Oh, to Travis, and then we can wrap things up with.
Hey, Coach, how important was it getting a guy like Damani Richardson back to kind of have a little bit of a veteran presence back there?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like when you have guys in the back end that have seen a lot and played a lot, there's a comforting feeling as a coach, especially calling the plays to know. I mean, there's a lot going on back there for those guys. So someone that has experience and can handle the communication of it, it's a great feeling. And I think we have really good guys around him as well. But Damani's experience level and knowledge of the game is tremendous for us.
And then what is the addition of Joe Schaefer to the staff to kind of bring everything?
Yeah, I think with Schaefer, he does an incredible job of seeing big picture. He's coaching multiple spots for us, and he has that ability to do it. I mean, his experience, he's been a coordinator. He's coordinated some very successful defenses and teams, and so he's been successful doing that. So when you've been in those spots and calling it and having to coach all 11, you see things a little differently. And so that's where I think he provides tremendous value for us. And we have him coaching the Bucks and the Stars, and so that's the back end and the front and move around, and he can do that. And he's got great rapport with the players. He's a guy that's been here with those guys, so they know him. So that was tremendous for us.
Final question to Brent.
There went my Schaefer question. So I'll ask you about the new indoor complex in terms of its size, and being able to get things done in a climate-controlled atmosphere as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to get in the past 2 days, and it's incredible. Just what you said was, we're all doing individual drills. So you have, all the offense doing individual defense in the spots. Normally in an indoor, your individual space is shrunk down. You got to set up your drills to where, all right, I know I'm limited on my space. I mean, we were in there the other day, and it was like you felt like you're on the field alone. I mean, that's how much space there was. It was just incredible. And then, like I said, we're all practicing, two spot at the same time. We went to our team drills, and again, you had a full field. You can run deep routes, and you're not running out of space. You're not running into a wall. So I think that thing is, the way it was designed is amazing.
You have a unique perspective on this, but with Texas coming into the league next year, still take pride in having beat them as a head coach as well.
No, that was a left field. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think all the changes going on in college football is pretty exciting. How all that's playing out, and I'm sure there's probably more to come too.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, thank you.
Yeah, I got. We have our offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, up first. We'll start front row on the left side when you're ready, Coach.
Well, Coach, since I get the first question, I'll ask the one that everybody wants to ask. What made you decide to come to A&M, and how has your rapport been with Jimbo since you've been here?
Well, the first part of that question is does involve Coach Fisher. My respect for him and our ability to compete against each other. When we were in the same conference, you get ready for a game, and the first video we wanted to put on is let's see what Florida State did against them. So my knowledge of his success and what he likes to do offense made it very, very attractive. When I was coaching at Missouri State, I was having a great time. One of my goals there was to mentor and raise young coaches. So that was a lot of fun, but I always had the itch to get back to this conference and be able to coach at this level. So it's been a lot of fun. You know, I've read or heard, or I've had people send me things about, you know, you and Coach Fisher getting along, that's not really how it works, okay? Coach is the boss, all right? My job is to try to keep him happy and make sure that everything works, you know, the way he wants it to work. I understand that more than probably anybody because of the number of years that I've been the head coach. But it's been a lot of fun, you know. Coach is a ball coach, and the ability to go in the meeting room and watch video and listen to his philosophies and his techniques and fundamentals, I've improved a lot as a coach, and my knowledge has improved a lot as a coach just in the short time that I've been here.
We'll stay on that left side and go the row behind Olin.
Hi, Coach. We understand that you've coached and developed a lot of great players in your career. I just wonder, off the top of your head or at first glance, your number one, the thoughts of the kind of players that you've gotten here at A&M.
Yeah, it's exciting to see the talent that we have and the weapons that we have. You know, a big part of offense is not the playbook and the things that you like to run. I'm never really called a play because, oh, I like this play, let's call it and see how it works. You call plays for players. And we got to get all our weapons in the right spots, and the quarterbacks have to understand that, you know, it's our job to get them the ball in good spots where they can make plays for you. So learning that and going about that right now has been a lot of fun, but very talented receiver group, some big tight ends that are physical and can run and catch. Like to see what our running backs are going to do and continue. They had a good spring, and they continue to get better and better, and the competition gets more and more at that spot, so that makes everybody better. The offensive line, with their experience from last year, you could see in spring they were starting to get it and get better each day in practice in spring, and in these early practices they've continued to improve.
And I just wanted to ask, you know, you mentioned the questions that were called to your attention about the relationship between you and Jimbo and how it was going to work. I just wonder, what was, you think, your reaction when you would read those articles? Were you amused? Were you angry? Or, you know, or when you would hear those reports, did you have any reaction at all?
I mean, you kind of like have a smile on your face and laugh about it because it really is not how it works. It's, you know, like when I used to talk to our team when I was a head coach, I would explain this story that I work for an athletic director and I work for the president of the university. And it's my job to keep them happy. It's my job to make sure that they don't get mad at me. And if I get mad at them, they don't really care, right? So that's that's not how it's worked. It's my job. I work for Coach Fisher. This is his program. I'm very, very impressed. That's one of the reasons I came here, is because of my knowledge of how he runs a program. But it's my job to make sure I'm working hard every day. And it's been fun, though. I can tell you that. It's been really enjoyable just because he's got such a great offensive mind. And with all the coaches, we've been able to sit in there and strategize and see the things we want to do, build the offense. You know, we're building the offense for the Aggies this year.
We'll go front row on the right side to Cole, and then Brent and Travis.
Coach, what are some essentials that you look for in a starting quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you got to do is be a great leader. You gotta make the guys around you better, and that to me is the number one thing as a leader, is your ability to make people around you play at a higher level. Both guys have been working hard at that, and they're doing a good job. You know, they get prepared each day for practice. That's why competition is so good, because the minute we get done with one practice, they're in the playbook getting ready for what the install is for the next practice. They don't want to come out on the field unprepared, so they make each other better. But the first thing they have to be able to do is lead and be able to, you know, make the guys around them better. Got to be accurate. You got to be able to make the throws, you know, and we've got the talent to do that, which is a great thing. And then you got to be able to have the poise, because, you know, like I told them the other day, there's a lot of occupational hazards as a quarterback. And one of them is that when things don't go good, the blame's coming on your shoulders. So you got to be able to just brush it off and forget about it, be thick-skinned, and move forward. But that's just an occupational hazard. That goes with the position.
And then when you look back at last season's offense, from an outside perspective, what were some things that you noticed that weren't working and some things that were working?
Yeah, I don't really look at it like that. I think the one thing that I've learned over the years in coaching is sometimes you can do your best job of coaching, and the wins still don't add up to where you would like them to be. So as I watched the season and went through it, I was impressed with how much better they got as the year went on, and how they finished the year strong, and how the players stuck together. And that's one of the things that I was really impressed with when I got here, was coming off a season like that, which Jimbo's not used to, A&M's not used to. The attitude of the players and their positivity and how much they cared about each other was very impressive to me.
We'll stay on the front row to Brent and then Travis.
Right here, Coach. Will you be in the press box or on the sideline?
Yeah, I haven't made the complete decision yet, but I'm leaning towards the press box. I think the ability to be up there and see things and call the game. When I was a coordinator before, I mostly was up in the press box, and then when I thought, hey, maybe I will get a head job one of these days, I talked Coach Smith into bringing me down on the sideline so I could get used to calling the game from the sideline. So I think it's going to come down to, how comfortable I am with the temperament of the quarterbacks, when things aren't going good, and how well they come back from it here in practice and in the scrimmages. And I worked for a great coach named Bruce Snyder when I was at Arizona State, and he always told me, don't make a decision till you have to. So I think I'm going to favor on that comment.
I know it's a collective effort, but will you serve as the primary play caller?
Yeah, I mean, it is a collective effort. I've been calling the plays out at practice, and I will do that. But a lot of times the plays are called throughout the week. So as you game plan and you're in there, you put down your third and shorts, and you know what you want to do run-wise, you know what you want to do pass-wise. Then you practice them, then you go back and rank them. And a lot of times it's like, okay, we get 3rd and 1, ball's on the right hash. The call's already made. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to be able to be disciplined to do what you didn't practice. I think that's when I've always self-scouted myself. I didn't do it as much based on what the defense was looking at and what they were doing, but I always did it based on, did we call what we did in practice, and did we execute what we executed in practice? And if we didn't, why not? What's the issue there? So I want to make sure that we spend time preparing our players, and they understand the situations, and they can rely that they're gonna get the play calls that they worked on and practiced on and got better on during the week.
We'll stay front row on the right side to Travis.
Hey, Coach. Your recruitment to come here was a little bit unique. What was the timeline between you going to UNLV and then coming here, and kind of the situation that revolved around all of that?
It was a little bit unique, yeah, no doubt about that. So, Jimbo's a guy that takes his time, wants to do his research, really understand what's going on. And, we had talked early. I thought we had good talks, They were right in the middle of recruiting and right in the middle of signing guys and doing all that. And Barry gave me a call, and it was a situation where the young guys that I was trying to help raise in this profession at Missouri State, I felt like it was ready for them to be on their own. Go do what you do. Take it over. See how good you are, So I had the plans on, hey, I'm going to try to get a really good assistant job and get in the room with the quarterbacks and kind of go back to how I grew up. So I went with Barry down there, and when Mark called me, because Mark Robinson called me, first thing I said to him, are you kidding me? I was like, are you kidding me? He said, no, I'm not. I said, you got to be kidding me, right? Why are you doing this to me, Mark? I gave him a little bit of a hard time. But then it wasn't a real hard decision. It was something that, we had talked about, I was looking forward to, and then it came through.
And then the one thing the players we've talked to so far have said is the biggest difference they've seen is tempo with the offense. How much does tempo play a part in that, and something you want to bring to this offense?
Yeah, I think sometimes the tempo thing is a little bit overused. That we're not going to be helter skelter and just go and go as fast as we can. The ability to change tempo and go fast, slow down, huddle, do different things, I think has a bigger effect on defenses. Or maybe the way I look at it is maybe we create an advantage. Everything I like to do in offense is to create an advantage in the run game, create an advantage in the pass game, and take advantage of personnel matchups. So our tempo will be used to create advantages and see how we think we can attack them better and get our players in the position where they make plays.
We'll go fourth row on the left side to Sam and then Tyler.
Hey, Bobby, curious, when it comes to calling an offense and designing a successful offense, how much do you lean on perfection and guys getting details right, and how much of it is letting guys play freely to where you guys can be successful?
Yeah, I think the key there is you allow them to play freely to perfection. That's how you play freely, is you know what you're supposed to do and you go out and do what you're coached to do and give great effort and make plays. But, our players right now are at a level where everything they've got to do is how do I separate from the pack? So we're working at being experts at what we do, really understanding every little detail of our position and then understanding the other side of the ball. So it's certainly about perfecting your craft and understanding the game. And I had the ability to coach in the NFL and had a lot of fun when I was with the Jaguars. And I was so impressed that the players' minds and hearts that they had. I've seen a lot of players throughout my career that had the ability to play in the NFL, but the way you separate from the pack is your mind and your heart and your competitive spirit. So that's mainly what we look for.
And when you look at the offensive talent you guys got to work with the last 8 months, how does the talent on this offensive team stack up to some of the teams you've coached before?
Yeah, I think we've got the weapons there. Now we've got to get the consistency. We've got to get our guys that can make plays to have the competitive spirit that, nobody's going to stop me. I'm going to get my matchups, and I know the plays, and I'm going to win. So that consistency and then desire to excel is really what we're looking for.
We'll go third row on the left side to Tyler and then Carter.
Bobby, what do you like from each quarterback, Max Johnson and Connor Wigman? And then how much does designing and the plays of the offense going to be tailored towards whoever's out?
I'm going to answer the second part of that first, in the fact that the way I believe offenses work is, we've had a playbook now since we started spring practice. So we've installed that, and it's a pretty good size playbook. And we challenge them to get to know it. And then through summer, you install it again. And then when we started camp here, we installed it again. And we've got about 2 weeks left now where we continue to observe and evaluate and see where we're at. After 2 weeks from now, and then we got to start tailoring it to our players and the quarterbacks, what he can do and what he can't do, and it becomes their offense. So each quarterback will be a little bit different. They each have a little bit different strengths and a little bit different weaknesses. So you have to know what it is they can do, and when they're in the game, this is the part of the offense we're executing the most. And I've been able to do that. The guy that reminds me the most is a backup quarterback I had at Arkansas, Tyler Wilson, because Ryan Mallett was the starting quarterback. Ryan, you could do everything. He had such a great understanding of the game, knew everything about it, and Tyler wasn't quite there mentally, so we just put these 25 plays, and if he gets in the game, it has to come in. This is the package that we're running, and that gave him a chance to really understand what he was and what he could do, and gave us a chance to move the ball.
What have you liked specifically with Connor and with Max?
Yeah, both of them are doing a really good job of leading, and it's really important to both of them. Connor's got a really quick release, can get the ball out accurately and fast, and does a great job of understanding coverages and how it moves it around. Max is doing a great job throwing the ball deep down the field and handling one-on-one coverage, and reading progressions. So they're a little bit different, but like right now, we're working on, finding out more and more about them each day.
We'll stay on the third row to Carter and then wrap things up with David and Christy.
Bobby, we've heard from some of the players describe you as more calm and poised than they expected. I'm wondering if you feel like your personality has changed as you've gotten through the business, and if you feel like the state of college football, you have to be maybe a little warmer to players.
Yeah, I did smile when you said that, and I was thinking, wait till they get a load of me now, but no, it's the role I'm in, my job is now I'm a teacher first and foremost. My role is to teach and learn and get to know how they learn, which I'm truly enjoying. Being in the classroom with the quarterbacks and teaching and being there every day has been a lot of fun. So, when you're on the sideline and those guys in the striped shirts make bad calls, it's hard to keep your poise, and there was one time I yelled at them. I know that. Just once. But I'm not in that role anymore. I just get to be calm.
And also want to ask you about your Feed the Studs philosophy. First of all, I love the name, but how has that evolved over the years? Where do you feel like it is now compared to maybe when you were, just 10 years ago?
Yeah, so we talk about offensive philosophy, and I always say FTS, which is Feed the Studs. And it's kind of the quarterbacks and the coaches need to understand, how do we get the ball to our best guys? And what I was saying earlier was I've never called a play just because, this is a fancy play, let's call it. I call a play to get the ball to Noah or Anais or Evan or Moose. How do we get the ball to them, and where's the matchup at? And our quarterbacks are just learning that right now. They're learning that, hey, why did we get in this formation, and why did we put this player here, and what his strengths are. We had a pretty good demonstration of it the other day on the chalkboard, or they don't have chalkboards anymore. I hate to say grease board. I guess I'm showing my age, aren't I? But used to say chalkboard. But we put up a formation, and we had moved a receiver to a specific area. So we wrote a small T, a small Y, and a huge Z, so they make sure they understood, hey, why are we in this form? Oh, to get Z a one-on-one matchup so we can throw him the ball. So it's learning and understanding where your weapons are and what they do well and how we get them the ball. And that's one of the unique things about being a quarterback is we have to talk about our players' attributes and deficiencies in the classroom. They have to know them, and we have to verbalize them and talk to them, and it all has to stay in the classroom. So it's been fun to start understanding and learning that.
We'll go second row on the right side to David and then wrap things up with Christy.
Bobby, what goes into the transition from what you have done and want to bring to A&M and then merging it with Jimbo's philosophy and the language and whatnot?
Hard work, and that's what's been fun about it is Coach, he'll come up early in the morning, we get in the meeting room and grind and watch tape, and I think we watched some tape from 1984 LSU, to see what we did there, and we've got a great staff, so we're putting the Texas A&M Aggie offense together, the input from everybody, how do we make it better, what do we have to do, so we building the playbook, and it really has been enjoyable. I can tell you this, working with Coach Fisher, my respect for him has gotten even higher than it was when I came here, because I've worked for some head coaches that do a great job of being a CEO and managing everything, but really weren't into the ball part of it, and this has been a lot of fun. Like I said to start it off with, I've learned a lot of football since I've been here, and I've been fortunate my years as an assistant. I've been able to work for Tom Coughlin, learn a lot from him. Bruce Snyder, when I was there at Arizona State, was awesome. Chris Alt was an awesome coach to coach for. All three of those guys were offensive guys, so they make you better because you want to work and make sure that you have the respect from them that you know what you're doing. And then I got the opportunity to work for John L. Smith, and John L. was a defensive coordinator. and then you wanted to strive and make sure that your offense was what it needed to be to win games. So it's been a lot of fun, and Coach has been great. He really knows football. He really knows how to motivate young men, and the techniques and fundamentals part of it, he's really on top of too.
All right, final question, second row to Christy.
I have a couple of things. First off, you talked earlier about really wanting to get back to this level, and now that you are, after several years not at this level, what's the biggest thing you want to show people this season?
I don't know if there's any biggest thing. I've always been hard with those questions, you know, is the biggest thing. But the way I look at it is I'm not interested in showing people anything. My thing right now is to have the opportunity to work with young men, try to do everything I can to provide them confidence in what they're doing, try to make sure that they understand that they need to use the gifts that God gave them to be the best that they possibly can be, and I get to affect, you know, their lives in a positive manner. So that's really what I'm enjoying the most.
And I don't know if this kind of is similar, but when you come to a new program, are there things that you want to do to kind of put your mark on the offense and make sure it's like, you know, it's you?
No, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the offense, and you know, and the input that you get from all the assistants and from coach. We mold it together. We work hard on game planning, and then I get to go out in the game and decide on what play to call. And when they boo and it's a bad call, you know, that's my fault, you know. So, but I'm excited about it. It's been fun, and our assistant coaches are great too. The amount of input and effect they have on what we'll end up doing on offense is tremendous.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Our first player today will be Connor Wigman. We will start second row on the right side to Christy.
What have you thought about your early interactions with Coach Petrino, and how do you like him as a coordinator?
I mean, I love him. I mean, he's a very smart guy. I mean, he gives us like every little detail of what we need to know about a play, and I mean, that's what it takes to be a quarterback. You got to know what's going on, and just be able to have that input coming from him in a positive way. I mean, it's been huge. It's been really fun to get coached by Coach Petrino.
We'll go front row on the left side to Mark.
OC change notwithstanding, how much more comfortable are you this summer compared to when you got here last summer?
Oh my God, it's not even close. I mean, last year, I mean, just coming in, any freshman, your head's spinning. You don't know what's going on. You're trying to just figure it out, and just to be able to be comfortable within the offense, know what's going on, know the checks, know the run checks, pass protections, and know where you're going with the ball. It's been just a crazy difference from where I was a year ago.
We'll go front row on the right side to Cole and then Brent.
Connor, it'd be very easy to ask you what your strengths are. So what are the strengths of Max Johnson compared to yours?
I mean, he's a very smart guy. I mean, he knows what's going on in the offense. Like, he's been around for a little bit. He has experience, and just his consistency, I mean, I admire it from him. I mean, every day he comes in and works, and I mean, that's all you can do, and I respect it out of him.
And while you guys might be in a quarterback battle, he has 2 years of experience starting at LSU and then part-time last year. What are some things that you can learn and pick his brain at?
What was that?
What are some things that you can learn and pick his brain at still?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's my brother. I do that. I try and pick his brain as much as I can just to learn little things, what's going on with defense, fronts, and all that, and just be able to ask him questions and just to go back and forth with him, and it's been a really cool experience.
We'll stay front row on the right side to Brent and then Travis.
Connor, did you grow up a Texas A&M fan, and what ultimately got you to Texas A&M?
I grew up a college football fan. I mean, I didn't really have a specific school, but what got me here was, I mean, they treated me like family, just the whole coaching staff. I mean, everyone in College Station. I mean, it was a different feel than wherever else I was visiting and what other schools I was talking to. And I sat down with my dad, and he just told me, this isn't a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And just be able to get into the Aggie network and to go and get my degree and get my Aggie ring. I mean, I feel like that's going to be a huge thing, especially living in the state of Texas.
And say as a bonus, is it nice that it's so close for your family to travel and so forth?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, today's open practice. They'll be up here. We're going to lunch after this, and I probably wouldn't be able to do that with them anywhere else. So I try and relish it and take advantage of those moments as much as possible.
One more on the front row to Travis.
Yeah, after the season ends and you hear new offensive coordinators coming in that might be a play caller, is that destabilizing for you? Is that exciting? What is kind of the emotions when you first heard that before you kind of knew it was going to be Coach Petrino and what he brought?
I mean, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, there's a lot of rumors of a bunch of different names, and I guess try and control what I can control, come in and work my butt off each and every day, and whatever happens, happens. And, I mean, I feel like it worked out for the best.
And then what kind of boost does it give to have Anias back with that wide receiver room and what he brings as a weapon too?
Oh, it's a huge boost just to have his voice in the locker room. I mean, he's a leader. He's a veteran. I mean, he's been around here. He knows what to expect, and he can give that insight to everyone on the team.
We'll go fourth row on the left side to Sam and then Tyler.
Connor, when you got recruited here, I know you built a pretty strong relationship with Jimbo. Give us a perspective on kind of how you feel about Jimbo and what he's meant to you and your development so far.
I mean, he's meant a lot. I mean, he's been a head coach forever. He's won a national championship. I mean, he knows what to do, and just be able to pick his brain on every little thing, and that's what I try and do. I try and learn as much as possible from him. I mean, he has a lot of knowledge on offense and football in general, and just to be able to pick his brain on little things like that, I mean, it's helped me a lot.
As you guys have worked through the offensive scheme development and evolution this offseason, what excites you most about this offense as you head into the season?
I mean, just to be able to throw the ball to these receivers. I feel like we have one of the best receiving corps in the country, and just to be able to give them a ball in space and let them go make plays, and I feel like that's what we're going to do.
We'll go third row on the left side to Tyler and then Carter.
Hey, Connor, how much did your playing time last year, do you feel like, helped prepare you for now? And then how much do you feel like you have grown developmentally as a quarterback from last year to this year?
I mean, it helped me a lot. I mean, just to go in and be able to get that experience against other SEC schools and just to get me ready for this year. I mean, I feel like it has helped me a lot, and it's shown a lot of things with defensive tendencies and just to be able to pick up on little things like that.
And then you said that the receiving corps is what excites you and throwing to those guys. Because of the weapons you have, do you anticipate there being a lot of, maybe not air raid, but kind of that kind of style offense?
Oh, that's the plan for sure. I mean, give them the ball and let them go make plays. That's that simple. I mean, that's what I was trying to tell Evan the other day. I mean, just throw a hitch and let him go 60 yards. I mean, that's the best feeling as a quarterback.
We'll stay on that third row to Carter and then Alex.
Connor, when you think back to the Ole Miss and the LSU games from last year, what do you think you did particularly well in those games, and how do you feel like you can kind of build off that?
I just feel like I got the ball out of my hands quickly. Like I said, I'm trying to give it to my playmakers as quick as possible and let them go make plays.
Evan Stewart was not on preseason All-SEC. I'm wondering what you made of that, and then what do you think fans can expect from him this season?
I mean, it's cool. I like to be under the radar. Just don't have too many expectations and go out and shock the world, and I feel like that's what we're going to do.
We'll go one more on that third row to Alex and then behind the lights.
Hey, Connor, got a couple for you. Just how have you seen the leadership of this team change over the offseason and where you guys are at now compared to last fall?
I mean, it's been huge, and it's not just a couple of guys. It's dang near the whole team just being able to step up and show that maturity and know the work that we have to put in order to be successful, and I feel like everyone's doing that.
And just wanted to ask you about one of your teammates, Bryce Anderson. What's your relationship like with him, and just how have you seen him grow in his game and just having to compete with him on a daily basis at practice?
I mean, that's my guy. I mean, we were roommates all freshman year, and we were tight. We pick each other's brains every day after fall camp last year and talk to each other. He gives me tips on what he sees I'm doing. If I'm bad with my eyes, he'll tell me, hey, you're staring stuff down sometimes, and I'll tell him stuff like, hey, sometimes you're too aggressive on this play. Like, we could do a double move and we can get you. But just be able to have that open dialogue with him, I mean, it's a truly special relationship that we got.
Does his background as a quarterback help with that?
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
We'll go back behind the lights on the right side to Justin to wrap us up.
Hey, Connor, back here. You have a favorite moment from last year?
Favorite moment? I mean, it had to be the LSU game. I mean, that was awesome. Just as a freshman, I mean, that was our first big home win, and just to be able to experience that with my teammates and the fans, it was truly special.
Jimbo talked a lot about, you can throw an interception. if you don't take a chance, right? You didn't have one last year as a freshman. You had 8 touchdowns. But you mentioned your weapon. So in your mind, as you go through camp and as you evolve, what's your mindset of taking a chance and checking it down? I mean, how are you going with that situations?
Like I told all the receivers, like, it's coming. One-on-one, we're coming. I expect y'all to go make plays. Like I said, I trust them over anyone. I feel like they're going to step up, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to make that play, and I'm going to give them a chance every single time.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Connor.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Our next player up will be Max Johnson. Who would like to get us started with Max? We will start 4th row on the left side with Sam and then Christy.
Max, just back here. Just wanted to ask, what ended up bringing you here? What were like the primary motivators that ended you choosing Texas A&M before last season?
Well, there was a lot that went into consideration with me and my family. I had about 15 days to make that decision. And, you know, Coach Fisher was a big part of it, having a great team, great offense, and a great defense as well. I think the playmakers around me made it special, and, you know, the culture at Texas A&M made me want to come here.
What was your relationship like with Coach Fisher, I guess, even before you came, and how has that developed over time?
So back in 8th grade, I actually went to one of his football camps, and that's kind of how I started my relationship with him, and being recruited by him when he was at Florida State, and when he came here, that's kind of it transferred over. So
We'll go 2nd row on the right side to Christy.
What's it been like working with Coach Petrino, and what do you like best about his style of coaching?
I love working with Coach Petrino. I think he's done a great job of bringing accountability to all our players in the offense. A lot of people are excited to learn from him and kind of pick his brain. He's done a great job of kind of controlling the offense and kind of figuring out who the players are, how he should coach them differently from each player. And I think it's been a great spring and a great fall camp so far.
We'll go front row on the right side to Cole and then Travis.
Max, it's easy to point out your own strengths, but what are the strengths of Connor Wegman compared to yours?
I think he's done a great job of, you know, understanding the system over the past year. I think he's really athletic. I think he's done a good job of, he gets the ball out on time, he understands coverage, and he's done a good job this fall camp.
And then you are in a quarterback competition right now, but what are some things that you can learn from him that you're still picking the brain of the same way you pick a Bobby and a Coach Jimbo?
We learn from each other's successes and mistakes. I think we are able to, you know, understand if, you know, maybe if I did something good and he did something good, we kind of, you know, pick each other's brains and kind of talk off, you know, off the field and are able to understand the offense more from each other.
We'll stay in that front row to Travis.
Hey, Max, when you learn as a quarterback that there's going to be a change in offensive coordinator, what is that kind of like for you emotionally, mentally, before you know who that guy is coming in?
Well, I've had to go through it pretty much 4 times, so this is my 4th one. But I've been able to, you know, kind of take it one day at a time and kind of focus on, you know, what I've learned in the past and what I've, you know, whoever's coming in, I've kind of researched them and have been able to learn about them. And Coach Petrino's done a good job of teaching us his system and how we're going to go about it.
I know last year Jimbo was right there in with the quarterback drills and everything like that, and Bobby's kind of taking that over. What's the dynamic between the two coaches, and how are you able to learn from both of them?
I think Coach Petrino and Coach Fisher both have a great relationship with each other. But this offseason, we've mainly met with Coach Petrino in all the meetings, and that's pretty much who we've been learning from. He's been in every single meeting. He's been there, you know, talking to us on the side in workouts during the summer, and you know, he's been there teaching us, you know, the whole system.
We'll go one more on the front row to Brent and then Tyler.
Your dad has an impressive resume. What did you learn from him as a kid growing up to be a quarterback, and how much do you still lean on him in terms of advice and counsel?
I talk to him all the time. He's done a really good job of, don't get too high and don't get too low. Also just take it one day at a time and, make the players around you to be the best they can be, lead, and, lead by example, then also lead vocally, earn your players' respect. And, I love my dad, and he's done a great job of not just coaching me how to throw the ball, but, how to be a quarterback.
We'll go third row on the left side to Tyler and then Carter.
Max, what's the quarterback competition? Just kind of what's that dynamic been like in practice, and how much has Connor, pushed you and made you better?
I think we both really push each other every single day. We both make great throws. He'll make a great throw one play. I'll make a great throw one play. And I think just bouncing, energy off each other and, leading this team has been, really good for our team. And, being able to have two guys that have played some college football has been, big for our team.
And then what's the part of this offense that excites you the most?
I think just giving our playmakers a chance to make plays, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's, we got great running backs to, not just run the ball. They can make plays in the passing game as well. So we have a lot of, great playmakers that we're able to, give chances.
We'll stay on that third row to Carter.
Max, we've seen Jake, your brother, get some first-team reps in practice. What has stood out to you about him this offseason, and what's it been like playing on the same team with him?
He's a stud. He's a grinder. Ever since high school, he's been a grinder. He's battled, some injuries throughout his high school and college career. So I give him all the credit. He's gained about 15 pounds. He's done a really good job blocking. He's also a great route runner, a great pass catcher as well.
You've been in a lot of quarterback competitions. Yep. You've been in some crowded quarterback rooms. What has that taught you about how you need to handle when it goes well, when it goes bad, and how have you taken that with you this offseason?
Honestly, just taking one day at a time, like I've been saying. I just learn from my mistakes, learn from my successes, and I've been able to, have Coach Petrino right there, behind us, behind every play has been good to, just come back and learn from each play. What did you see on this play? What did you see on that play? And I've been able to kind of just learn from everything all my experiences that I've had in college and take that, from everywhere that I've been to here.
We'll go back behind the lights on the right side to Justin.
Max back here. We hear the word tempo under Bobby, like, oh, it's tempo. As a quarterback, how much overdone is that? And really, when you get into a rhythm, does that help tempo?
100%. I think when you get in rhythm, you got to go tempo, and you get the defense off their feet, and because they're not able to get set, they're not able to, set their coverage the way they want to. They have to play their base coverage. But I would say it is a little overdone, but we have been implementing a lot more tempo this offseason.
And one guy you have to replace, obviously, is Devon A-Chain. What do you see from your running backs right now?
I mean, we have a bunch of studs back there. They've kind of stepped up, and they've kind of filled those shoes of A-Chain, and they've done a great job of understanding protections, where to hit the runs. They read the O-line. They've done a great job of all their steps, and I'm looking forward to seeing those guys play.
We'll go fourth row on the left side to Sam and then Cease.
Max, when it comes to this offense, how much variety have you seen in terms of personnel packages, formations, and then variations in tempo?
I'd say a lot more. I think we're implementing, our 12 personnel with tight ends. We also have a 3 tight end set. We also have 2 back sets and a lot of motion shifts. I think that's been a big thing, is to keep the defense off their feet.
And then how do you balance executing all those things at a high level when you have a lot on your plate, and how have the installs gone? Coach Petrino mentioned installing in spring, installing in summer, and then installing again in fall. How is that, just grasping all that, how has that gone?
I think that's helped, being able to install 3 or 4 times this offseason, be able to go through the offense from day 1 all the way to day 20, however many days we go. He's done a really good job of, teaching us what the reads are versus what coverage is, and I think that's been a big thing for us.
We'll stay on that fourth row and wrap things up with Cease.
2 things. One thing, how did you handle, or what did you learn from the injury when you got injured last year?
Well, that was very frustrating for me, getting injured in, versus Mississippi State. I broke my thumb, and I was able to, just learn throughout the rest of the season, learn what the reads were, the coverages were. I was able to stay in meetings. I was able to meet longer. I was able to, just work on my body, honestly. I've gained about 10 pounds or so, which has been awesome for me. And that's kind of what I've gotten from it.
And what do you think it's going to take to win the starting quarterback job, and why is that going to be you?
I think just consistency and understanding the offense and making great decisions. Knowing when to take that shot, and also when to check it down. I think being able to lead others in a great way and make others around me better will, and Coach Petrino will make that decision, or Coach Fisher. I'm not sure who will make that decision, but that's what I've been working on.
All right. Thank you, Max.
Awesome. Thank you.
You can come up. We have Noah Thomas headed to the stage. Who would like to get us started? You get the good seat. We'll start front row on the left side with Mark when Noah's ready.
what changed in the couple of months between last fall for you and this spring when, by all accounts, you had an outstanding go of it?
In me or the team? For me, I would say working on my craft all summer with my guys, being able to use some releases and route running skills from other players in the wide receiver room, and just iron sharpens iron, really. So yes, sir.
We'll go third row on the left side to Tyler.
What is having a veteran like Anais in your locker room and just back on the team and with the receivers kind of meant to you guys?
I love Anais. That's my dude. Everybody loves him. He's a very lovable guy. He's a great leader. He knows the playbook from every position, so he can help all the new guys or anyone who needs help with the playbook. And he's ready to fill in at any spot if needed. And yeah, great dude, great skills, great talent. Yes, sir.
And then what differences have you seen with the new coordinator, with Bobby Petrino coming in and kind of running the offense?
Coach Petrino is a really smart guy. He, spreads the field, makes the defense really think, and great addition to the team for sure.
We'll stay on that left side, one row back to Sam.
No, I'm curious. Obviously, things didn't go the way you guys had hoped last year. I'm curious, as you go into this season, what has the vibe been like on this team and in the locker room?
The vibe has been pretty great. We added a lot of new guys to the team who bring a lot of energy and just, great vibes, really. And throughout the whole summer, just working hard and having fun with it. That's the most important part. Felt like we weren't having enough fun with it last year. We had a lot of pressure on us and stuff like that. But, we still got to perform. And just this past summer, we've been grinding with the whole team. And, it's been good.
And you obviously were a freshman last year. A lot of young guys were on this team and playing major roles first time. How difficult was that, and how much has the experience you think will help this year?
It was pretty hard, but, when your name's called, you got to step up, make the play, and just be ready, be prepared. Yes, sir.
We'll stay on that left side, third row to Carter, and then David.
No, we all know what Tyreek Chappelle can do, but some of these newer guys, Tony Grimes, Sam McCall, Josh DeBerry, all the freshmen, specifically, has there been anyone that has stood out to you out of that group, and what's kind of your just overall impressions of some of those newcomers?
Javon, he's a really athletic dude, fast guy, and really just getting to practice with those dudes every day, making each other better. We have a really talented wide receiver group, so them getting to go against us every day, like I said, iron sharpens iron, and we're just getting better and better. But a lot of new cornerbacks, and they're looking good.
We'll go second row on the right side to David.
No, how much weight have you put on since last offseason or since the end of the season? And can you tell a difference in the way your separation, your strength, and whatnot?
I think I gained 6 pounds, and for sure, using my hands off the line and stuff like that, I can definitely tell the separation and stuff like that. Yes, sir.
We'll go second row on the left side to Olin.
Hey, Noah, Jimbo kind of surprised us a couple months ago. He was talking. He said, "Yeah, Noah Thomas. He's this. He's going to be in the starting lineup and things like that." What is it about you that has gotten so much better potentially you could keep a guy on like Anais or Moose or Evan off the field because you have to be on it?
Like I said earlier, I feel like we were we grinded hard this off season, and just having that depth and being ready to, when your name's called, just being ready to go in there, knowing the play. So us being in our playbooks, and I think having that depth is going to help us a lot this year.
Why are you so much better than maybe?
I've been grinding. Yeah.
We'll go front row on the right side to Brent.
No, how do you use your height? I guess pretty basic question here, but how do you use your height to your advantage as a receiver?
I feel like my catch radius helps a lot, so I can, shield the person off and be able to make those over the shoulder or go up and get it at any time. So, and then the quarterback's making those throws to put it away from the DB where I could get it and just giving me the opportunity. Yes, sir.
When you were a kid growing up, what was it about football that separated maybe from other sports, like basketball, for instance, or something?
I used to love to run. I mean, I still like to run, but just running away from people, really. My family is a football family, so my uncle and my great uncle both played. Broderick Thomas is my uncle, my great uncle Mike Singletary. So it's just, I feel like it's in my blood, and always been a competitive guy. So yes, sir.
Singletary, a Baylor guy. What was it ultimately that got you to Texas A&M?
Definitely the bond with the coaches, Coach Craig, Coach Coley, Coach Fisher, just telling me everything I needed to hear, that I get the opportunity to, show my talent. And then, of course, the great facilities and stuff like that, and the 12th man culture. It's great. Yes, sir. Cool little 2 hours.
We'll stay on that front row to Travis and then Cole.
Yeah, no. Did it surprise you at all, spring offensive MVP, and why or why not?
I don't think it surprised me. I came into the spring with a chip on my shoulder, trying to prove people that I can help the team and, try and get more wins and stuff like that. So, no, I don't think it surprised me, but I definitely came in with a different attitude, different mindset.
We'll stay on that front row. One more to Cole and then Justin.
No, it's still very early on in fall camp, but where have you noticed the strengths and improvements of both Connor and Max in spring?
Both of those guys just being on the field together, being able to compete against each other is great, because it makes them better every day. Both of them are doing amazing things, spectacular throws, so just keep going.
You mentioned iron sharpens iron. Last year, you and Evan were pushing the veterans such as Moose and Anais and several others. Do you feel the same thing this year with Micah and Raymond already being enrolled, but also were early enrollees in here through spring tramp?
I do. I feel like they're still young, so they gotta get in the playbook, and we're gonna help them with that. And so yeah, I feel like they're pushing us as well, making those great plays, wanting us to make those great plays too.
We'll go back behind the lights on the right side and wrap things up with Justin.
Hey, Noah, where's the big playability in this offense? Where do you think that stands? In whether it's Petrino or whether it's, if you feel like you got the dudes with you and Evan and Moose.
Can you repeat your question?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. The big playability in this offense, where do you think that is right now?
I think it's all around. We got 3 great running backs. You see the receiver room. I think we're ready. Just all around, being able to put the ball on the ground and run the ball with the running backs, and spread the field with the receivers. Yeah, I think it's all around for sure.
And then Coach Petrino, going through practice, motions, whether it be tempo, whatever. What's the biggest difference you've seen with Petrino calling the plays?
Just messing with the defense, really. Just trolling the defense. It's pretty funny.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Noah.
Thank y'all.
Our final player today will be Bryce Anderson, who is headed to the podium. Who would like to get us started with Bryce? We'll start third row on the left side to Alex.
Hey, Bryce, got a couple for you. Just last year, was there a moment maybe in the fall where things really started to click for you and you were like, all right, I'm starting to get my footing here?
Most definitely. Being behind the guys that I was behind, like Antonio Johnson, they always prepared me for the moment in case something did happen, like when things did happen. So they always prepared me for the moment. Like in the fall camp, things started to slow down a little bit. When I got my moments in the game, things definitely started to slow down for me.
Where have you seen your game grow throughout the spring and in the offseason, and just how do you expect them to kind of maybe use you throughout that back row in the secondary?
Pretty much all over, but definitely mostly in the star position. blitzing, playing a lot of zone coverage, mostly man coverage. But I feel like my game has improved a lot. Slot man, being able to recognize routes in zone, being able to jump routes, being able to do a lot of different things.
We'll go fourth row on the left side to Sam.
Bryce, I know in high school you played a lot with the ball in your hands and playing quarterback. What was it like going from not having the ball in your hands as much to being defense full time at the college level?
It was a big change. Like I said, coming from an offensive mentality to a defensive mentality, it was a big change. But having that leadership, it's been like the same, having the same quarterback leadership, taking it over to the defensive side. I tried to keep that mindset. But, yeah, that's pretty much been the biggest change.
And how did or has the offensive background helped you at all when it comes to reading opposing offenses and preparing?
Most definitely. Recognizing, like, splits and things like that, recognizing, like, if I get, like, a hitch from the one, then I get a corner from the two, I already know what to expect. If I get an out, then I'm expecting a fly. I'm just alert for a lot of things coming from the quarterback position.
We'll stay on that left side, third row to Tyler.
Who's been the toughest guy to guard in practice, and just what's it like going against the receivers?
Man, all of those guys I would say is tough to guard. They all bring different things to the table. Like Moose, y'all know he has crazy hands. So I know when I'm guarding Moose, I have to be able to play through the hands really well. I know when I'm guarding East Stu, I know how quick he is. I know how to play with my feet really well. I know like I'm guarding Noah, he's kind of like taller. I know how to get my hands on really fast. So like all of those guys bring like different things to the table. But the hardest guy I would say that's been to guard, I would probably say it's been probably Noah or East Stu, I would say. Yeah.
And then how much of more of a leadership role have you seen yourself take going into this year?
Like I said, coming from a quarterback, I tried to keep that same leadership mindset. So I'm taking it over from the defense. I tried to keep that same mindset since my freshman year. So I've been like, even when I was a 2, I was always still speaking up for that group. For now I'm a 1, I try to keep that same mindset. Even with being with Damani Richardson and Jordan Gilbert, still just try to still learn from those guys, but still lead at the same time.
Any more questions for Bryce? We'll go front row on the right side to Cole, and then back behind the line.
Bryce down here. When you look at last season, you guys had the #1 secondary in college football, but you struggled against the run. Do you take pride in knowing that the secondary was part of the reason for success, but also still knowing that there is room for improvement?
Most definitely. We must definitely take a lot of pride in knowing that we were one of the top passing defense in the country, but we also are still, like Coach Durkin said, we were not very good against the run. So we still going to practice. Like we're going to the team run periods, we emphasize we're going to stop the run. We're not giving up no run plays while still keeping that same mentality against the pass. That's only going to make us be more great.
And then you guys lose AJ and Jalen to the NFL this past year, but you gain in players such as Josh and Sam and Tony. Where have you noticed their improvements with the secondary, and also what does their experience do for not just the versatility, but for also the mentality of the unit?
The more experience that you have with a lot of guys, the better it is. But those guys have been working, learning the playbook, working hard every day, coming to compete, trying to earn a job. Those guys are definitely improving.
We'll stay on the front row to Brent, and then back behind the lines.
Bryce, how nice was it to get in that indoor complex and just your early impressions of it and having all that space to work with?
Man, it's definitely a lot of space in there. I told Mr. Bajork whenever we was out there, I said, this is probably one of the best indoors facilities I've ever been in. So I loved it, but yeah, that's going to help us a lot.
We'll go back behind the lights on the right side to Justin.
Hey, Bryce, we get to see open practice today, but for the most part, we don't get to see you guys go against the receivers. So what's that competition like so far?
Oh, man, it's competitive. It's competitive, real competitive. We don't want them to catch no balls on us, and they always want to try to cook us or always trying to get us or snag on us. So, man, we bring the competitive every day. Like, it's no days off if you're going to get embarrassed. So that's the mindset you got to have whenever you're guarding those receivers.
And then for you, did you say star position? Is that what that's what Durkin calls it in the nickel? So you being able to move around, I mean, how versatile do you think your game is, and how does that suit your skill set?
Playing a star, you have to be able to be very versatile. Like I said, you have to be able to show up in the run game on blitzes. You have to be able to drop in the cover 2, be able to go play half field. You have to be able to play curl flats. You have to be able to play in the hook. And you still have to be able to play man-to-man coverage. So that shows pretty much every versatility that you can have on defense. So I take a lot of pride into that.
We'll go front row on the right side to Travis.
Hey, Bryce. Coach Fisher mentioned earlier that the guy came in yesterday to kind of talk about the risks of sports gambling. What was something that you took from the message?
Definitely just don't do it. Stay as far away from it. Don't get involved in it, and just stay out of that world. Yeah, most definitely.
We'll go third row on the left side to Alex.
Coach Fisher mentioned that Joe Schaefer's come in and started coaching the safeties and nickels. Just what have been your impressions of him and just in working with him?
Man, Coach Schaefer, that was my guy. Ever since incoming freshman, early spring, we meeting before meetings every single day. We going over every little thing, every small detail. Still doing this to this day. That's my guy. I would say that guy has probably helped me the most out of anybody for his formations and playbooks and being aware of stuff. He's a big part of my success.
We'll go fourth row on the right side and then wrap things up with Sam.
Bryce, just what have you noticed from some of the other guys in your recruiting class that came in with you, Jared and Jacoby back there, and kind of how they've progressed?
Oh, man, their progression has been great. They've been working every day, coming and competing, learning the playbook, staying in the playbook. Yeah, they're competing for spots also, so they've been working every day.
We'll go fourth row on the left side and wrap things up with Sam.
Bryce, I know things didn't go the way you guys wanted to last year, but I'm curious, what has been the mood and the mentality of this team going into this year?
The mentality has been this year is just basically we're going to change the way everybody thinks. We're going to prove everybody wrong. We're going to meet our standard. We're going to come to practice every day with a standard set. And if you don't meet that standard, you can't play on the defense. And staying with the offense, I feel like they have the same standards also. Like you don't meet their standard, you can't play. So most definitely, we have to meet their standard every day.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you, Bryce.
Thank you.